Good afternoon and welcome to the 34th EBRD Annual Meeting and Business Forum here in London. Welcome to those of you in the audience here in Westminster Central Hall, and welcome to those of you who are watching online. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. My name is Richard Porter. I'm the Managing Director of Communications here at the EBRD, and I'm just going to explain what's going to happen over the coming minutes. So, we're here in this historic building, right opposite the Houses of Parliament. For those who don't know, for watching online, we're right next door to Westminster Abbey as well. And this building has hosted many events in its time, including the very first meeting of the United Nations General Assembly almost 80 years ago. And at that meeting, there were, I think, 51 countries represented as the UN was getting going, getting working. And the EBRD, represented here today, we have 75 countries as shareholders and members of the bank, as well as the EU, the European Union and the European Investment Bank. We're going to shortly hear from the chair of the governors, who will introduce the formal part of the session. But we have a tradition in the bank where we start with something to give you a bit of a taster of what we do. And so let's set the scene. In words and music, we tell the story of the bank and the people who work here.
Purpose is the uniting force, the goal that sets you in motion. Our teams span the globe, working across cities, countries, continents. Ventures and time zones vary, but the mission stays the same: to invest in changing lives. Bringing distant cities closer and distant ideas to fruition.
Напредуваме много добре. По моментот сме во тунел 13, од вкупно 15, тука сме во фаза на ископ.
No challenge is too big with the right team, precision and a resolve. Constructing solutions that shape daily lives and building the foundations for tomorrow. When all is uncertain and bleak seems the norm, hope is delivered door to door, keeping systems running when it seems there's no way.
А яка пропускна спроможність лінії?
Тільки в даному корпусі лінія обробляє 8 тисяч посилок за годину.
Finding order amidst chaos and finding joy sealed in an envelope. Not just recovering, but thriving at a speed possible when we're moving together. Reaching remote landscapes with a careful hand. From hefty mountain grazers and ideas nurtured by creative minds, the finest wool is woven, and business flourishes.
Одоороо бид зах зээл дээр тэгүүлж байгаа бөгөөд сүүлийн үед нүүрс төрөлхийн ялгарлыг бууруулах болон цахилгааны хэрэглээг хэмнэх үйлдвэрлэлийн үлдэгдэл материалыг дахин ашиглах зэрэг ажлуудыг хийж байна.
We are here to deliver results, supporting talent when it's vital. Expanding horizons, looking ahead, and forming new partnerships. Building with fresh perspectives and skilled entrepreneurs. Coming together to inspire and propel nations. You see, it all comes back to people. Each of our partners, with their ambitions, energy, and passion. And each member of our team, ensuring every spark has the chance to light the future. Expanding horizons and enduring strengths.
Well, what an incredible performance to get us started. And if you don't mind, I just want to name some names there, the people we just saw. So we had as the young soloist, very talented young soloist, Ariel Meyer from Westminster School. The chorus, the accompanying chorus, is from the Guildhall Session Singers. The organ was played by Joshua Simoes, who's actually behind that screen. So that is a live picture of Joshua. Thank you, Joshua. He doesn't get the best view of the event, unfortunately. The music was composed by Sam Dinley. The film was produced by the communications team at the EBRD and was narrated by the actor Ruth Wilson. So thank you to everybody involved in that. Okay, and before we move on to the formal part, this is probably a good moment to talk about what happens afterwards as well. So there's a reception downstairs with another musical performance, actually, from the Ghanaian musician Afla Saki and his band Africa Bawantu. That is down 2 floors to the ground floor, and the easiest thing to do is to take the stairs on this side as you go out. So please join us immediately after the formal part of the session is over for a reception there. Okay, so let's move on, and it's time to invite our distinguished guests to the stage. So I will ask, please, in this order, first of all, the President of the EBRD, Odile Renaud-Bassot, to join us. The Chancellor of the Exchequer of the United Kingdom, Rachel Reeves, please come up together. The Minister of Finance of Slovenia and the Chair of the Board of Governors, Klemen Boštjančić. And finally, the EBRD Secretary General, Kazuhiko Koguchi. And I will pass the floor to the Chairman.
Dear Governors, it's my great pleasure and honor to call the 2025 annual meeting of the Board of Governors of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development to order and to formally declare the meeting open. I would like to warmly welcome you all to Central Hall this afternoon. As part of this opening session, there will be statements by our host, the Right Honourable Rachel Reeves, Chancellor of the Exchequer, by me as Chair of the Board of Governors, and by the EBRD President, Ms. Odile Renaud-Bassot. Now, I would like to propose that we adopt the agenda and approve the provisions relating to the conduct of our meeting, which are included in the report of the Procedures Committee. These have been circulated to all governors. Is there agreement that we adopt the agenda and the provisions relating to the conduct of our meeting? As I neither see nor hear any objections, I declare that the agenda and the provisions relating to the conduct of the meeting have been adopted. I now have the honor of inviting the Chancellor to address the meeting.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody, and welcome to London. It's a pleasure to be speaking to you from the EBRD's home city, where we are meeting in person for the first time since 2016. Thank you, Clement, for that introduction, and thank you, Odile, for your leadership and for the role that you've played in helping to drive economic growth and sustainable development. For over 3 decades now, across 3 different continents, your organisation has led efforts to support the transition to open, market-orientated economies. And as we meet here today, that work could not be more relevant. Because the world has changed, and we can see that all around us, including as a result of new tariff barriers to trade. And that is why my government, the UK government, has been working pragmatically with our international partners and allies to secure new trade agreements with leading economies like the United States and India that save jobs, protect businesses and cut costs. But I'm under no illusions about the scale of the challenges ahead for all of us. And against this backdrop, we also face an increasingly difficult security landscape, including as a result of Russia's ongoing war of aggression in Ukraine, which has claimed thousands of innocent lives, threatened stability across the wider European continent, and has also driven up bills for families and businesses. Delivering security must therefore be our shared objective. That means national security to protect the safety of all of our people, but it also means economic security through higher and more sustainable levels of economic growth across all countries and improved resilience in all of our economies to shocks. In this context, I will focus my remarks today, firstly on our support for Ukraine and the need to work together on reconstruction and recovery, as we also discussed in the earlier panel discussion. And secondly, on the role of multilateralism in this new era of global instability. And thirdly, on how we can leverage private finance to boost sustainable development and increase global growth. Beginning with Ukraine, where the EBRD continues to stand in defence of freedom and democracy. You do so as the largest single institutional investor in Ukraine, having committed 6.2 billion euros since the beginning of Russia's full-scale invasion, plus a recent capital increase of 4 billion euros, which will help unlock billions more for Ukraine in the years ahead, and which the UK is proud to have made its contribution to. Alongside this, you have pioneered innovative new products like war risk insurance. And I am pleased that the EBRD's new 5-year strategy makes supporting Ukraine the very highest priority. Domestically, the UK government is also stepping up by providing £3 billion a year in military aid to Ukraine for as long as it takes, building on the £8 billion contribution of support we have already committed. But clearly, and we heard this from Minister Marchenko today, there is more to do. Because a lasting prosperity in Europe demands a just and a lasting peace in Ukraine. And that means committing to a strong and enduring reconstruction and recovery effort. This will, of course, come at a cost, given the scale of the damage that Russia has wreaked on the Ukraine. But the cost of inaction would be far worse. This was the focus of my discussion with the finance ministers of Ukraine, Italy and Ireland today, and also with you, Adil. And these conversations will continue at pace to ensure that we are ready with a plan to secure the peace once the war ends. Our joint efforts on Ukraine also demonstrate the importance of working together to confront shared global challenges and to boost our domestic, our international security. This was the message that I took to the IMF and World Bank spring meetings in Washington last month, where we discussed the need for free and open trade in the face of instability. Because while globalization has delivered global growth and lifted millions out of poverty, with benefits ranging from lower prices to improved choice and competition, we all know that it has also brought challenges. These challenges mean that for too long the global economy has not worked well enough for working people in so many of our countries. Gains have not always been equally shared, and some people and places have fallen behind. This presents a clear challenge to the multilateral, rules-based system. But it does not mean that multilateral institutions have a lesser role to play today. In Washington, I heard significant support for multilateralism and the role of international institutions. Organisations like yours bring countries and bring people together. They drive progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals and the Paris Agreement, and they catalyse private sector investment. But international institutions must evolve to meet the new economic reality. We need a system that works for and is upheld by all. One that delivers fairness, delivers resilience, and delivers accountability. Functions effectively and predictably to support global growth and helps create a level playing field, with international norms and institutions that uphold rules and call out anti-competitive behaviours. In this context, it is very welcome that the EBRD will begin investing in Iraq and several sub-Saharan African nations from this year. I also offer my support for the recent agreements signed to improve efficiency across multi-development banks. But this is just the start. The government that I represent will continue to work with allies to build the new global consensus that we need and to reform institutions. This brings me to the point of leveraging private capital. Because if we are to deliver sustainable development in emerging economies, which is central for raising global growth, we must recognise that public financing alone will never be enough to meet the scale of the challenges that we face. I was pleased, therefore, to host a roundtable with the EBRD earlier this year, where investors told me that they wanted to do more and saw the opportunities in emerging markets, which will contribute around 65% of global economic growth by 2035. Despite this, we all know that barriers to investment remain far too high, and we need more collaboration, standardisation, and de-risking. That is why the UK is now convening a new industry-led EMDE task force to increase private investment for both climate and development, and further establish London as a global leader for climate finance, benefiting us all. Multilateral development banks like the EBRD also play an important role in mobilising private capital. You are unlocking new investment opportunities and bridging London with emerging markets and developing economies. And I am pleased that you have convened your own task force to address these important issues. But we should collectively raise the scale of our ambition And that is why I am calling for multilateral development banks and development finance institutions to work together as a system to go further by implementing the G20 roadmap and delivering key reforms, including reforms that allow more private sector investment to take on more risk and get more return. Collaborating to produce replicable, market-standard investment products, expanding the pipeline of bankable projects, and increasing MDB lending in local currencies. Actions such as these will enable us to grasp new opportunities for growth and development in the changing world that we see. And it means that even as we enter a new era of instability, there is cause to face the future with hope and optimism. By strengthening our collective security, building on our long-standing support for Ukraine, but also by rising to meet the moment of the global economic challenges we face, to address the failures of globalization and build a new economic consensus that will deliver reforms to our international institutions and leverage private capital to support emerging market economies in order to drive up growth across the globe. I am certain that the EBRD will continue to play a central role in these efforts. And I want to thank you, President, and the management team and staff for another impressive year of results. I wish you a very successful and productive annual meeting here in London. Thank you very much.
I should now like to address you as a chair of the Board of Governors. Madam Chancellor, dear fellow governors, dear President, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of all governors of EBRD, we are very grateful to you, dear Rachel, for your warm words of welcome and the hospitality shown by our British hosts. The UK was, of course, a founding member of this institution and played a central role in shaping EBRD's mission of promoting political and economic pluralism, markets that are both free and well-governed, companies that are both competitive and inclusive. After 9 years, we are delighted to be back in London, and particularly here in Westminster, a place that has marked so many of history's turning points. On our way here to Central Hall, we passed statues in Parliament Square of Winston Churchill, who stood up to tyranny when all seemed lost, and of Nelson Mandela, who kept also alive the flame of freedom in dark times. While history is all around us here in London, EBRD's own relatively short life has seen the fall of regimes that once seemed unshakable, the emergence of new technology that once seemed unthinkable, and the collapse of certainties that once seemed foundational. What are the constancies we can cling to in these turbulent times? First, the values we share that led to the creation of the EBRD and underpin our work today. And second, our belief in the potential for human collaboration to overcome challenges. This is why it's so important that we meet this year in person as leaders of this institution to set our new strategic directions for the next 5 years. That will be for tomorrow's discussion in our plenary, but let me first recall where we have come from and where we are now. Since we last approved the bank's strategy capital framework in 2020, the EBRD has elected and re-elected its first female president in Odile Renaud-Bassot. I would like to express my personal gratitude to Odile for the incredible journey that the EBRD has taken under your leadership, which has brought us to where we are today, expanding our horizons. Mobilized rapidly to help our region overcome the economic legacy of COVID. taking decisive action to support Ukraine in the face of unprovoked aggression. As the country's largest institutional investor, EBRD has leveraged its deep country knowledge to deploy well over 7 billion euros in support, and we will continue to do so. Across nearly all EBRD countries of operation, the bank delivered record volumes of business totaling 16 billion euros in 2024, up 60% from the start of the SCF and over 25% from just last year. Crucially, the bank achieved not just quantity, but also key metrics of quality, including in support of green transition and economic inclusion. Whatever else we do and whatever else we try to achieve will be of little consequence if we do not ensure a livable planet that makes use of all the talent we have around us. Another statue we passed in Parliament Square is of Millicent Fawcett, who campaigned here in Britain for women's votes over 100 years ago, but remains surrounded by 11 men. It reminds us that the struggle for true equality of opportunity has a long way still to go. Slovenia, too, as a former transition country, found itself decades ago in a position where many segments of the population, businesses, individuals, and regions were striving for equal access to opportunities. This is why we have always seen our cooperation with the EBRD as a joint commitment to building an inclusive society and resilient economy where everyone has a fair chance. Slovenia is proud to have been cooperating with the EBRD for more than 30 years, an institution that has been a key partner in Slovenia's transformation. With the support of EBRD, we implemented vital reforms, strengthened the financial sector, modernized infrastructure, and invested in sustainable development. This partnership contributed significantly to boost competitiveness and investor confidence. Today, Slovenia stands as one of the success stories of transition, and the EBRD has been a trusted partner throughout this journey, not only as a financial partner, but also as a source of expertise, knowledge, and trust. As we look ahead, new challenges lie before us, most notably the green transition, digital transformation, boosting investments and innovation, diversifying funding and strengthening governance. These processes require coordinated action by governments, financial institutions, and the private sector. Once again, the EBRD's role remains essential to catalyze change and help align investments with sustainable, forward-looking goals. I myself come from the world of business, and we know that nothing comes for free. You have to generate revenues, earn profits, and invest in your businesses to keep up with changing times. And yes, you have to keep the shareholders happy too. This is why, as a shareholder of EBRD, I'm very happy to see how profitable the bank has been in recent years. This is huge credit to Odile and her staff for their hard and diligent work in building up businesses in challenging environments. I want to pay tribute not just to the banking teams on the ground, but also to all the functions that ensure this is done in a responsible and risk-managed way. But even these record profits are not enough to meet the needs of the times we now live in. This is why we agreed at the end of 2023 to launch a paid-in general capital increase to step up support to Ukraine, our overarching priority, and all our countries of operation with the major challenges that lie ahead. Slovenia is proud to have been one of the very first to subscribe, and I encourage all my fellow shareholders to step up and show your support. This is not charity, but hard-headed business realism. EBRD has now invested in our countries more than 30 times what we as shareholders put into start out with. I'm sure they will continue to deliver successfully, including in our new countries of sub-Saharan Africa and Iraq. That is why I'm delighted to welcome to this annual meeting colleagues from Benin, Côte d'Ivoire, Iraq, and Nigeria, as well observers from Senegal and Kenya, who are very close to finalizing their membership procedures. Leading and governing an international institution with nearly 80 members is not easy. We can be proud that we have now reached the necessary threshold to amend Article 1 and include the new geography in the EBRD region of operation. I know this has been a long journey, but from July 22nd, when this comes into force, we start a new chapter in the EBRD story. The backdrop to our decisions tomorrow on recipient country status and use of cooperation funds. So thank you, dear friends and colleagues, for joining us today with what I believe is record attendance in recent years by both governors and alternates. Beyond doubt, we have already shown the value of multilateral cooperation in our work together over the last 5 years, and I look forward to charting a new course with you tomorrow for the period 2026-2030. Thank you for all your attention. I now have the pleasure of inviting President Odile Renaud-Bissot to address the meeting.
Your Excellencies, Governors, colleagues, friends, welcome to our 2025 Annual Meeting and Business Forum, and welcome to the EBRD's home, London. I say home not just because here is where the bank has its headquarters, and not only because London has always been a great host to us. This is also where the bank first set out to deliver its unique mandate. Its very first conference was held just upon the road from where we are today. And history relates that our first president turned up for the event an hour late. I'm happy that we are almost on time today. At the bank's birth, our shareholders defined our purpose as advancing transition towards open market economies and promoting private enterprise. Back then, for the world of international development, this was a new idea. But the vision in forming it has stood the test of time. This is where the enduring strengths referred to in the motto of this year's annual meeting come from. They stem from our conviction that market economies underpinned by democracy offer the surest path to growth and prosperity. This is why we focus on promoting the private sector, mobilizing investment and promoting policy reform. These are the foundations on which the EBRD's many achievements rest. Achievements such as almost 220 billion euros of investment across 3 continents, a sum more than 30 times greater than the capital you, our global shareholders, originally put in the bank. An initial stake which has delivered much revenue and substantial reserves, and has supported investment which both benefit the economies where we work and create business opportunities in our shareholding countries. Our defining vision has indeed stood the test of time. But time doesn't stand still. Indeed, today change is happening so fast that it sometimes feels as though time itself is speeding up. A new era is upon us, one in which basic principles we stand for are being challenged as never before. After the pandemic and the full-scale war in Europe, we now face new shocks and uncertainties created by trade frictions, geopolitical tensions, and volatile markets. Shocks compounded by longer-term trends, such as natural disasters and the strain we continue to inflict on our climate, budgetary pressure, especially in the development sector, demographic imbalances with sharp population declines in some of our countries and in other increasing migration pressure. And on top of all that, the opportunities and threats posed by AI. Today, every country in which we work needs enduring strengths more than ever to transform these challenges into opportunities. We can provide the anchors, helping them to steady and secure their economies and our clients and partners. They need to build resilience and enhance competitiveness. And our skill at working with the private sector can help them navigate even the stormiest seas. Those enduring strengths were also the basis of our performance last year. A record-breaking volume of investment, more than a quarter up on the previous best. Healthy profits, highlighting the all-round stability of our balance sheet. Record investment in the private sector, the green economy, and projects promoting human capital. A record amount mobilized from all private and public, direct and indirect co-financiers. And in Ukraine, record finance volumes, bringing the sum deployed since 2022 to more than 7 billion euros. I have made 5 trips to Ukraine in the last 3 years. On every visit, I've seen for myself the resilience of its people and our contribution to it. This contribution is felt across the board in our support for its energy security, infrastructure, and its private sector, including foreign investors. Even in wartime, we have championed the reforms which will help drive its reconstruction and realize its full economic potential. We are all hoping that a lasting peace which respects Ukraine's sovereignty and long-term interest can be secured soon. Support for Ukraine will continue to be our central strategic objective in the years ahead. We will also be expanding our horizons. And this is not the first time the bank has moved into new neighboring regions. But we now stand on the cusp of momentous change. We will soon start signing projects, working with the private sector and advising on policy reform in new countries, in Africa and in Iraq. And today, I want to welcome our new shareholder to these annual meetings. There is much excitement within the bank about what we can bring to these economies while continuing to serve those we already support. The bank will soon be a bigger bank. It is already a better and more effective one. We see that in the quality as well as the quantity of our results, in how our IT investment plan and transformation agenda have delivered the levels of performance from our people, processes, and technology, and in the way we measure and understand the impact we have on the ground. But we can and we will do more to be even better and more effective. We have determined and talented staff. I know we can count on them to deliver. And we are fortunate in having global shareholders who understand and appreciate the value we create, including through supporting our capital increase. The challenges which lie ahead are many. Our ambitious plan for the next 5 years focuses on the power of the private sector to enhance competitiveness and accelerate transition. To this end, we will support the green transition, strengthen economic governance, and enhance human capital. Our objective is to make our economies more sustainable and more prosperous. And we will also increase our impact through deploying digital technologies and mobilize even more private capital. New instruments will help involve private investors in many more projects in our countries of operation. And perhaps some of those investors are sitting with us in the audience today. Our mandate and our enduring strengths bind us to the value our shareholders laid down all those years ago. And experience shows that we perform at our best in times of crisis. The world needs institutions such as ours, which bring countries and competing perspectives together. Only through them can we deliver results of benefits to all and overcome the challenges we have in common. We will always have our differences, but there is much more that unites us as well. For the time being, we are sailing stormy seas. But our plans for the next 5 years provide us with stable anchors as we navigate the uncertainty of today and the expanding horizon of tomorrow. They rest on the enduring strengths our global shareholders gave us at the bank's birth. Strengths which will continue to deliver growth and prosperity for the economies where we work, the people we serve, and the future we share. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Board of Governors, may I thank President Renaud Bassot for her address. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the opening session of the Board of Governors. As a Board of Governors, we will reconvene tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the Peligon at Canary Wharf to continue our meeting with the plenary session. This plenary session will be an opportunity to reflect together and decide on the bank's strategic decision for the next 5 years. I would therefore like to encourage you and your delegations to arrive in good time so that we can make the best use of the session tomorrow. Before then, I'm sure we are all keen to continue our conversations in a more informal setting, and I'm therefore pleased to invite you now to join the reception for all participants, which is downstairs here in the central hall. I look forward to the special musical performance that will highlight the bank's new region of Sub-Saharan Africa. With this, I declare this opening session closed.